All right. Hi, everybody.
Crystal,
Thanks for joining us. All right, so great to see
Eleanor.
everyone. I'm just looking at the chat as people are coming in and posting who they are and where they're from. And like Heidi said, it's good to see some friends. It's good to see some new names and faces. Thank you all for joining us. For those of you just joining, we are going to the chat, introducing ourselves, telling everyone where we're from, and listing our role in OST again, so we can have an idea of who all we have on the call. So if it's appropriate to sort of direct some of our comments to different positions and people in the audience, we're happy to do that. And I see a lot of 21st century people. I'll hopefully see maybe some of you next week at the 21st Century Summer Institute in San Francisco. If you haven't looked at the weather yet, y'all, I just looked at it this morning. It's going to be cold which will be a welcome relief compared to what we've had here. But I'm going to have to dig into my closet and pull out my winter-ish clothes. But let's go ahead and get started because I know everyone's got probably a super busy afternoon this afternoon. But my name is Gina Warner. I'm the CEO of the National After-School Association. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're going to be talking about using our newly released OST job quality standards to address recruitment and retention challenges in our field. And I have a co-presenter with me this morning. It is Heidi Ham, our Chief Operating Officer from NAA.
Hey, everyone. Thank you, Gina. I appreciate it. So we will share now the objectives for today. They'll be shown on this next slide. I'll just summarize that for you. Our overall goal is to help participants so you all learn about the new job quality tools and how various roles can use them to reduce recruitment and retention issues in our field. So we're going to start getting our wheels turning and ground us in our why by bringing young people into the conversation. So think about this question. What do you want for young people? You can go ahead and write your answer in the chat box. What do you want for young people? Opportunity. Yes, caring adults, safety, fun, safe, access to caring adults. I see some themes here. You definitely are sharing a common why? That's right. Adam, access to more, belonging, protective factors. Great. Thanks, Aaron. Inclusivity. Love it, Ashley. Thanks, everybody, for sharing. Now, I want you to think about this next question, which is, what do you envision for the future of the OST workforce that supports these young people? So think about what it looks like for staff that work in direct service. Think about what it looks like for leaders. Think about what it looks like for you and your career. What do you envision for the future of the OST workforce that supports the young people that we were just thinking about? Support and guidance, acknowledgement and appreciation. It doesn't seem like too much, does it? Career paths, qualified staff, consistent, supported and treated with grace.
Ooh, I saw one that is a nice segue to my next slide, which is to be treated as professionals. So thanks, Carrie, for putting that in there.
All right, take it away then, Gina.
All right. So the National After-School Association, our mission is to work towards building a strong and valued profession. We're constantly looking at the needs of the field, the needs of our members to identify ways to better support you all in your work. So we've been around for 37 years, and we've seen a lot of very positive strides made in research, in practice, and in policies that have influenced funding and support for quality out-of-school time programs. And honestly, at NAA, the research and the needs of our members inform and drive our work. And because of that, we know that skilled and knowledgeable professionals are the backbone of program quality. And so we actually have, two seminal bodies of work that define the identity of the OST professionals and the profession. And I'm going to take a little pause here and say, Since I've got a captive audience, I hope you all will join me. If there's one thing that I hear a lot that really just kind of like, oh, sets me off. It's like, we need to professionalize our field. So guess what, guys? We are a profession. We are professionalized. So please join me in really pushing back when you hear people say that. Because we have these bodies of work, again, that define a profession. The first is a code of ethics for out of school time professionals. And the second, core knowledge, skills, and competencies of our profession. What does it mean? What do you have to know and show to be a professional in our field? And those competencies are paired with a set of self-assessment tools. So today, we're going to share with you a third set of tools that help toward building a thriving and valued profession.
Yeah, thanks, Gina. And I'm going to take a pause too, because I don't know how many of you all know this, but and I'm guessing that some of you do, but years ago, NAA led the way with the original program quality standards. Now, since then, that work has been passed along, and quality standards are typically provided at the state level. And so that is a seminal body of work that NAA had, but we're talking now about what we have currently that really defines OST professionals and the profession. And so we know that recruitment and retention issues are impacting both program access and program quality. And based on an online survey that was done by the AfterSchool Alliance, the data is shown on the screen. So just check out that data that we have here from that survey and let it sink in. And this is from the online survey last fall, and it 1,116 after-school program providers answered this survey. So I've been in this field, I think I have to keep adding years to it, right? I've been saying 25 for so long, but I think we might be approaching 35 now. And we have always experienced recruitment and retention challenges. However, more recently, we have data like this that shows how big those challenges really are. We're proposing that the solution to these long-standing challenges is to focus on job quality for OST professionals. What is job quality? It's a multidimensional concept. It needs to be integrated into both systems and organizational level work. Job quality is tied to worker outcomes such as job retention, income stability, and physical and mental well-being. And job quality is not just about the job, even though that's in the name of it. It's a combination of key drivers that are important to each worker's overall employment experience. Here on this next slide, you can see some snippets of research showing the connection between job quality and recruitment and retention. So those of you who want to know about the research behind this, here's just a couple snippets for you. And if you are really interested in the research, we'll show you how to access the job quality research later in this presentation.
So let me make sure we're all on the same page on this. Quality matters. And I think this is I haven't been in this field quite as long as Heidi, but I was thinking this is like
because you're so much younger than me, Gina.
That's totally what it is. This is like actually my 18th summer working, directly in after school and summer programs. And I'm almost embarrassed to say that knowing that quality matters was not something I knew right out of the gate. I definitely that first summer, I thought and I was working in a city environment, and we were really trying to find, open as many programs, create as many slots, for programs for kids as we could. And my mindset was, anything is better than nothing. And I was educated by someone on my team who said, actually, that's not what the research says. A poor quality program actually has a detrimental impact on a child. So quality does matter. And so when we think about quality, and we're thinking about the quality connection, the quality continuum, we want to start over there at the far side and talking about job quality. Job quality is the beginning of quality. Job quality is how we attract people to this field and, importantly, how we keep them in this field. So when we do that, then we have workforce stability. We have people that want to stay and they have ways to grow in their careers. And if we have that workforce stability, then chances are greater that we are going to have high program quality. And the only way we are going to achieve positive youth outcomes is if we're running high quality programs. So this quality continuum is really represents a theory of change for NAA's Thriving Workforce Initiative. And if we'll look on the next slide, we're gonna, so our Thriving Workforce Initiative, with this, we are really we're focusing on three things and we're trying to impact three things. So the three things we're focusing on is we're raising awareness, we're building strategic partnerships, and we want to secure funding so that we can improve public narrative, policies, and practices that all will enhance job quality, again, with an eye toward reducing turnover, impacting in a positive way recruitment and retention for our programs.
So we've created the OST job design framework, and some of you may have seen this before from us, because this is work based on work from the National Fund of Workforce Solutions, input from our convention workforce summits, and I know some of you have been a part of those, and impact and input from NAA members. And then, so if you look at all these things, when they're offered together, these elements can result in respectful, equitable, and inclusive workplace cultures and quality jobs that provide what professionals need and deserve. And I saw lots of echoes of this in the chat when you were answering the question about what you want for the people that do this work. It will create a profession that people want to enter into and stay in. So as you look at this framework, just want you to jot down, and you can do it on a piece of paper or in the chat, jot down some of the words that strike you right away. What are some of the words in the framework that strike you right away? Great. Those are going to come back up later. So we've created the OST job quality standards to further support the understanding of this framework. So we heard from the field, we had these job quality standards, or we had this framework. That was the first thing that we introduced at our workforce convenings, and really came down to, how do we operationalize this? Like, how do we do this? So we've created these job quality standards. They're intended to provide a common structure for defining and discussing good jobs. They ground the conversation in the available evidence. So there we go with the evidence-based. Again, they demonstrate how job quality relates to worker outcomes, which we know is important. And they also outline effective practices that support workforce development, including recruitment and retention. We're going to hear that a lot today. And workforce stability by promoting high quality, equitable jobs. The document is accessible via a webinar reminder email you received earlier this week. You can get it by scanning the QR code on the screen, or we'll put the link to them in the chat box. So all of those three things will take you to NAA's website and a copy of the job quality standards. So I'll give you a minute to pull the document up if you're in a place to do so. Looks like people are working on it. Okay. So the standards are based on the framework, and they have several different sections. So I'm going to walk you through the different sections so you can see what's in the standards. They start with an introduction, and that's what sets the stage for the standards. They have information about our Thriving Workforce Initiative, the OST Quality Connection, Theory of Change, and the Job Design Framework. So it really goes over the things that we just covered. Those are all included in the standards. And then next, there's an OST job quality standards overview, and that shares perspectives related to equity and inclusion, aspirations, what we're trying to do with these standards, the alignment to some other pieces of work that are out there in the field. It also talks about the limitations, and then finally, the audiences and possible uses are all included in that overview. And then we get to the actual job quality standards. So those include 4 pillars. Those are core, support, opportunity, and voice. And those were the words that were big and bolded on the job design framework. So those are overarching categories that represent key job quality areas. And then within that, we have 16 elements. Those are the critical pieces of each pillar. And they were shown in the framework. And they're likely some of the words that you identified from the framework a couple of minutes ago. And finally, there's 67 indicators. And the indicators are observable practices that support each job quality element. We have some resources included with each pillar in the guide to help users expand their understanding of various indicators. And then the document concludes with an annotated bibliography of supporting evidence that was used in creating the standards. So those of you who are interested in that research, there is a extensive annotated bibliography at the back of the standards. To start familiarizing yourselves with the standards, please take a couple minutes. I want you to look at the core pillar section. It's pages 11 through 15 of the job quality standards document, and think, as you look at it, what stands out to you? So I'm really going to set my timer this time for 2 minutes. So 2:21 my time, we'll come back and you can share what stands out to you. But I just want you to look through that section on pages 11 through 15 for now. So what stands out to you? Would you mind sharing your ideas and thoughts in the chat box so we can see what you're thinking? What stands out to you? Thanks, Kathleen. I was thinking maybe my chat box was broken. Appreciate that. Interesting. Consistency. Wages adjusted to account for increased cost of living. Right. Anything else? Staff want to be engaged in their programs and feel like they're contributing, of course. Workplace stability, leadership that engages. Gina or Kate, you see anything in the chat that you want to call out that people?
I mean, I see, yeah, I see people posting things that, I mean, I would probably should have said this at the beginning that, at NAA, we're on this journey with you. And I see people posting things in the chat that stood out to them that are things we as an association have addressed ourselves in the last year. I mean, things like formal orientations and, clean up that handbook, and things like that. And so I'm glad to see you all, mentioning those things. And because again, they are oftentimes some of these things are the things that get overlooked. We think about like big initiatives, but as you see, if you look at those indicators, those are things that we need to do and we should be doing. They're definitely best practices, but I'm here to say that I know firsthand they don't always happen. So having these standards and knowing that the intent of following along with them is to create better job quality for my team is a great incentive for me to like look at and work on a lot of these issues.
Yes, and we appreciate your leadership in that, Gina.
And the board, I should say the board as well. In case they're on the call. I don't know if either of them are on the call, but if they are.
Right. So you see a couple more coming in, inclusion, and people are reacting with hearts and, plus ones to what people are saying. Stable hours and scheduling. That's one of my hot spots. So important. Jacqueline, thank you for sharing about the living wage calculator. So we're not going to go through all of the standards today. We just wanted you to get an introduction. But before we move on to discussing how you can use or leverage these standards in your own work, of course, particularly to reduce recruitment and retention challenges, what questions do you have that you think just big questions that we can answer for you or try to answer for you today? So is it really just that clear? Do people not want to put people want put their questions in the chat? Need more time to process this and can come back to us later? Okay.
Oh, how can I improve the job quality for my staff when I have limited time? How to best manage change in a process? To hire great people, how can get them to stay? Yeah, all right, those are okay. Those are all some of those questions I think are going to be addressed if we go to and we're also going to save some time at the end, in case they're not if you feel like they're not addressed by what we're going to say. But I think we look at the next slide.
Yeah, I do too.
I think this next tool is going to help you with some of those issues. Particularly, I think about the person who posted, how can I focus on this when I have limited time? So we gave you you have the standards, right? But how do I use them? What do I do with them? So we've created as a companion document, a usage guide and some assessment tools. So if you remember, I said, we're really focusing on three things. We want to raise awareness. We want to build strong partnerships. We want to secure funding. And so when we thought about that, we thought, okay, who are the partners that we work with who can help us do those things, secure funding, raise awareness. So within this usage guide, you'll see the audiences on this next slide that we identified, who are really who are us, but then are also our partners in this work. And you'll see groups like intermediaries, you'll see funders, you'll see, government and policy makers. You think about you're talking to, maybe your city staff or your school board staff or something like that. Researchers, what's the role they can play? Partners in higher education. And so we really wanted to make it as practical and useful for you as we could and give you as many suggestions and ideas of how you can take these quality standards to these partners and kind of basically tell them how they can help you do this work. So on the next slide, we'll see that within this guide, so this is just, a page from the guide that sort of has a top level look at it. What are some ways that, people who work in these areas, some possible ways that they can use these job quality standards. But I want to drill a little bit deeper. I want to pick out one of these and drill a little bit deeper into it. So going to pick the OST intermediary because I know we have a couple of intermediary leaders on this call. Again, this is the top level, but then within the guide, you're going to see a lot more details. And I just pulled out two of them that I want to share with you. So if you're an OST intermediary leader, maybe you're working at the state level, maybe you're working at the city level. So one way you can use these job quality standards is you can just design your whole training calendar around them. You can look at what the different elements are and you can offer to members within your community, hey, we're going to have a training on, on employee voice. That's something that I know that a lot of organizations struggle with. How do we build that in? So you're going to offer a training because it might be difficult for an individual program to be able to offer a training and have the knowledge, but you as an intermediary leader do have those connections. You can offer those as well. You can create other workshops and tools and resources that are aligned with the job quality standards. And we're going to be rolling out some of those ourselves. So if you're an OST intermediary leader, hopefully you can use some of the tools and resources that we're going to be sharing and offer that to your network. A second way, oh, yeah, go ahead,
Oh,
Heidi.
no, go ahead. Sorry. I want to say something after you're done. My
Okay.
God, premature. Sorry.
A second way that you can engage an audience in using these job quality standards is you can go to some of your local funders. This can be some local family foundations. This might be your community foundation. This might be like your local United Way. So organizations in your community that support and fund after school programs, you can share these standards with them and you can say, look, want to make you aware of them. I want to let you fund us to serve this many kids. We're maybe struggling to serve this many kids because we have such a high staff turnover. We need your help in adopting some of these standards so we can have more workforce stability within, our community, within our program. Would you consider maybe incentivizing organizations that adopt these job quality standards, maybe giving them, if it's a competitive grant, maybe give them an advantage on the scoring, or maybe have a whole round of funding that's dedicated to organizations identifying areas and within the job quality standards that they want to focus on, sort of like a capacity building grant or something like that. So those are just two examples from one of the categories on the ways that you can engage other partners in helping you bring greater job quality to the people on your team. So
yeah, can we actually go back now 2 slides? I just want to interject something really quickly or reinforce something really quickly. So as you look at this chart, you'll see, and this is, the one that Gina talked about are the OST intermediaries. And then there's a couple more roles that work at the systemic level. And then we keep going, and then more and more impact at the program level. These are intentionally laid out this way because we know that we need to change the systems for many of these things to happen at the organizational level, and especially at the program level. So if you happen to be working in direct service with young people and you're on this webinar today, don't despair. Like we're thinking, oh, I can do this right away. We're not thinking that you can do all of these things without the support of a system or some of these other groups. So it's everybody working together to support longer term the program level impact, but the systemic work needs to happen to set people up to be successful at the program level. And Gina's going to talk a little bit more about the program level piece
yeah,
now.
thank you. That's a really good point, Heidi. I don't want you to look at these and feel overwhelmed if you're like in a staff role or even if you're a leadership role at a program and saying, well, I can't, what can I do on these? This feels like very overwhelming to me. And I share with you all that, myself as an organizational leader, there have been things that I have looked at, that I have done, changes that I've made, within our organization, within our operational things like our handbook, within the way we address our staff meetings, the way I'm putting the budget together. So there are many examples here for those of you working in senior leadership or at the organizational level for how you can take these job quality standards and implement them and integrate them into the work that you're doing at your organizational level. Some require funding, some don't require funding. That's a thing. I mean, we tried to really be very broad in what we were looking at and understanding that, yes, there are some big things that need to happen. Heidi was talking about the system level, and there's definitely issues around wages that we definitely need more investment and support in. But there are a lot of other elements of job quality that we at the executive leadership level have the power, working with our boards, to integrate and bring into our work. And if you're working you to take this. I would encourage you to take the assessment tool, and then you might have, I will say at NAA, we had a lot of areas that we need to work on, but where can we, what can we address in the short term? What do we need to put towards the long term? And so the self-assessment tool will help you understand, where can I focus? By focusing on this particular area, where can I make the greatest impact? Maybe with the resources I have, if I'm thinking longer term, where can I secure funding to help me with some of these bigger issues? And certainly having the self-assessment gives you something concrete, again, to take to these funders, to take to the boards, to take to some of, your city council member staff who are looking at, your budget, your school district staff who are looking at your funding and saying, here's what we need, here's what we identified. How can you help us? Help us with these job quality issues so we can create better opportunities and experiences for our team and for our staff. So the other thing that I think that, along with showing you like where you need to work, the big, and I wanted to mention this too, the other great thing about the assessment is also going to show you where your strengths are. So, what can you do with your strength? You guys who know me, like I'm the strengths advocate, right? The strengths missionary, my husband calls me. But you can take your strengths and then you can, so when you're, probably many of you are thinking about hiring for the fall already, then you can advertise to people and part of either your job interviews or even your job solicitations. We offer this, we offer that. We are an organization committed to this. And I think that's really going to help you. It's a competitive marketplace out there. You guys know that for staff. And I think if you're better informed and talk about what you have to offer as an organization as it relates to job quality, then that's going to be very appealing and help you, I think, again, in your recruitment issues. So as we talk about the job quality standards, the usage guide, and the assessment tools, what questions do we have as we're kind of starting to wrap this up? Any questions about how to specifically use? And I'm going to, like I said, I think we might have lost our moderator, so I'm going to try and look at the chat. I'm sure Heidi will help me if I need to moderate that. Anybody have any idea? I mean, did you see something you're like, I know who I need to talk to about this. All right. Kathleen, see, I see you nodding. You're on screen. So yes. If you have any ideas, we'd love to hear those in the chat. We're really excited to see how you all do start to use these. And like I said, we're going to have more resources and tools related to these that we're going to make available for you all, so that, if you're in the professional development wing of this work or the training, you're going to have tools that you can access. If you're at the executive director level, things like job description templates that really reflect job quality, marking materials that reflect this. There are, again, several tools and things that we've created, that templates for our use that we're going to make available to you all. Okay, yeah, implicit bias training. Good, Kathleen, for screeners. Yep. So they're looking at, different applicants. Heidi, anything you want to add about the tools? I know you're working really thinking about this, that things that are coming down the pipeline as people start to take these tools and put them into practice.
Yeah. So first of all, we listed like 3 to 5, I think, resources for each in the job quality standards for each element section. And so if there's something that you don't understand, double check those resources to see if they can help you understand from a definitions standpoint or just an overall understanding standpoint. I think that would be one of the first places that I would start. And then this isn't about like ongoing resources. This is just, I guess, in response to some of the questions that came up earlier, like how do I get staff to realize the impact of their work, and things like how do I manage the change process? Well, if you look at the standards and you can see that some of those things will be inherently covered by employing that particular standard. So for example, how do I get staff to realize the impact of their work? Well, that might be in onboarding, right? That might be in training and professional development. That might be something that you discuss during a performance conversation. When you acknowledge people in addition to saying great job, you can say why, right? I've noticed in your work that when you did X, Y, and Z, this happened, insert positive thing. And that's the impact that you're having on kids and families. So I think being really specific when it comes down to some of these standards and really employing them, that they will take care of some of the issues that you're currently having, which cause staff to leave. Now, we do know that if you were joining, we don't have a silver bullet. This is not a, like we have the answer that you can start using that will solve the problem tomorrow. You can start using these as soon as you get off the phone. However, these are things that are going to take time, and we know that. We're trying to play the long game here so that we can actually solve the problem once and for all. The session is being recorded with one little blip but Kate will share, yeah, she put in the chat that she'll share the presentation and the resources that we used for this webinar in a follow-up email. And I think we're hoping to get that out today or early tomorrow, so you have it right away.
Yeah, I also want to, I'm just scanning the chat to make sure. So thank you, Tim, from our Indiana After School Network mentioning, right. I mean, I think so many of the things, I saw someone put this in the chat too about removing names and addresses from applications when you're reviewing things like that, and how we're really making the whole interview process more equitable. And I think, right, these are all like areas in which I think, we all need to work. And again, something that we employed, and we've hired a couple of staff over the last couple of years. And, this is not something that I mean, again, I'm on a learning journey too, right, guys? That in retrospect, it makes common sense, but I don't think it was the way a lot of us were approaching it. It's that when you interview someone, you ask them all the same questions, right? You ask everyone the exact same questions. And so again, that doesn't cost you any money, right? But that's a huge element of creating a high quality job and job experience, and is going to really help you again, I think, in your recruitment and staff. So yeah, thank you, Jennifer. We're really proud of this work, and we appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, definitely, Jennifer, and looking forward to seeing how the training that Flourish Lab offers can support some of these standards, because I know that there are some big connections between your work and these standards. So we look forward to seeing that. So just really thinking about how you can use or leverage the OST job quality standards in your own work to longer term reduce recruitment and retention challenges. So we do have a form that we created, kind of a worksheet if you'd like to organize your thoughts more officially than what's maybe chicken scratched in your notebook, like I would do. You can download the form that linked. I'm hoping that, yeah, Kate put it in the chat. You can download that form to help you with your next steps. So any final thoughts or questions?
So we put a lot of links in the chat. Again, you hopefully got the email before this that had the links as well. We've got one last QR code here on the screen where you can go directly to our website where we have all of these resources, and we encourage you to do that. I'll take a moment for just a slight commercial promotion. We will be opening registration for our convention, 2025 convention, on in a couple of weeks, around about August 19th. And then we will be opening, and it's going to be in Nashville in March of 2025. And then we will be opening our call for proposals for workshops, I believe September 9th, so early in September. If you're creating, or if you already have some great trainings that are aligned to these job quality standards, I absolutely encourage you to apply and submit that as a workshop topic. As you can imagine, this is something we're really going to be leaning into in terms of how we, we organize. And it's not all, we're going to continue to have the wide array and diversity of workshop offerings that we have. But as you can imagine, we're really going to be looking out for topics related to job quality standards. And we love to see what you all are doing. And we know that your peers love to see what their peers are doing. So just be on the lookout for those. Hopefully you all are, your NAA members, you're getting our weekly e-news. And so you'll see that's where the announcements for opening registration and call for proposals will go first. So want to give you all a heads up so you can be on the lookout for those. And I think that's it. Again, thank you for joining. Thank you for, again, the positive comments. Thank you for recognizing somebody, I think it was Eleanor posted, getting ready, thinking about hiring. We did work really quickly. We knew that we wanted to get this out this summer so that you all could have it as you're thinking about hiring your staff. So we know that's a big, a busy time for you all when fall rolls around, and that, recruitment is top of everyone's mind at this time of year. So thank you for your interest. Thank you for joining us. And of course, thank you for all the work that you do for children, youth, and families in your community. Thank you all.